In Houston, Texas, there is a mansion so grand that the neighbors whisper about it like it belongs in a fairy tale. Iron gates, manicured lawns, a fountain that never stops running. From the outside, it looks like a place where nothing could ever go wrong. But inside those walls lived a man who had conquered every boardroom in America and still couldn't win the one battle that mattered most. His daughter had stopped laughing, and no amount of money in the world had been able to bring that laugh back. Until the afternoon a barefoot boy slipped through the hedge, hungry, homeless, and carrying nothing but a dance. What happened next didn't just change two lives. It rewrote everything Desmond Holt thought he knew about wealth, love, and what it truly means to be a father. Stay with me, because this story, it will stay with you long after it ends. Desmond Holt didn't build his fortune by accident. He built it brick by brick, decision by decision, sacrifice by sacrifice. By the time he was 42, his name was stamped across the Houston skyline in ways most men only dreamed about. Oil pipelines running through 3 states. A real estate portfolio that stretched from downtown Houston all the way to the Gulf Coast. A shipping company that moved cargo across 4 continents. People called him the Houston Standard because whatever Desmond Holt touched didn't just succeed. It dominated. He wore his wealth quietly. No flashy jewelry, no reckless spending. Just a black SUV, a tailored suit, and eyes that had seen enough of the world to stop being impressed by most of it. His staff moved carefully around him. His business partners chose their words carefully. Even his rivals respected him from a distance, because Desmond Holt was the kind of man who never needed to raise his voice to be heard. But behind the iron gates of his River Oaks mansion, the man the world feared was just a father on his knees. His wife, Claire, had been the warmth of the house, the laughter in the hallways, the reason their daughter Lily ran to the front door every evening when she heard the car pull in. Claire had a way of making a 40,000 square foot mansion feel like a home. Flowers on every table, music in every room, love in every corner. She was Desmond's anchor in a world that never stopped moving. Then one rainy Tuesday evening, a truck ran a red light on Interstate 10, and Claire was gone. Lily survived, but the little girl who came home from that hospital was not the same child who had left it. Lily Holt had once been the kind of child who made strangers smile. 8 years old, bright-eyed, with Claire's laughter and Desmond's stubborn spirit. She used to chase dragonflies through the garden in the early mornings. She used to drag her father onto the lawn to dance with her on Sunday afternoons, even though Desmond was a terrible dancer and they both knew it. She used to sing along to songs she only half knew the words to, loud and completely without shame. After the accident, all of that stopped. The doctors delivered the news carefully, the way doctors do when they already know the answer will break something in the room. Lily's spinal cord had sustained significant damage. She would need a wheelchair. Whether she would ever walk again was a question that no specialist could answer with certainty. Desmond sat in that office and felt the floor disappear beneath him. He did what Desmond Holt always did when faced with a problem. He threw everything he had at it. He flew Lily to a renowned clinic in Germany for spinal therapy. He brought a world-class surgical team in from India for a second opinion. He enrolled her in an advanced neurological rehabilitation program in Boston that had a 2-year waiting list and still managed to get her in within 3 weeks. He converted an entire wing of the River Oaks mansion into a state-of-the-art therapy suite. He hired 4 specialist nurses and 2 physical therapists who rotated in shifts so that Lily was never without care. None of it worked. Not because the doctors weren't skilled, not because the treatments weren't the best money could buy, but because Lily had gone somewhere deep inside herself, somewhere that medicine couldn't reach. She sat in her wheelchair by the window for hours without speaking. She stared at the garden with eyes that had lost their spark. Her meals were eaten in silence. Her therapy sessions were completed without complaint, but also without effort. It was as though Lily had decided, somewhere in that quiet, unreachable place, that there was no longer anything worth moving toward. Desmond watched his daughter disappear a little more each day, and for the first time in his life, he felt completely powerless. Nobody in the neighborhood knew exactly where Zico had come from. That was partly because Zico himself didn't have a clear answer to that question. What people in the streets around River Oaks knew was this. There was a boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old, thin as a reed, with torn shorts and bare feet that moved like they had their own separate agreement with the ground. He had no home that anyone had seen. Some nights, he slept in the stairwell of an unfinished building 2 blocks from the bus terminal. Other nights, he curled up beneath the awning of a closed convenience store on Westheimer Road, using a flattened cardboard box as both mattress and blanket. He had no parents, no siblings, no adult who came looking when he didn't show up somewhere. He was the kind of child the city had learned to look past, invisible in the way that only the truly forgotten can be. But Zico had something that hunger could not take and hardship had never managed to destroy. He had his dance. It wasn't the kind of dance you learned in a studio or watched in a music video. It was something wilder and more honest than that. A full-body conversation between Zico and whatever he was feeling in that moment. When he was hungry, he danced to forget the emptiness. When drivers cursed at him for tapping on their windows at traffic lights, he danced to shake off the sting of their words. When the nights were long and the concrete was cold, he danced to remind himself that he was still alive, still here, still somebody. Sometimes people gave him coins when he danced on the sidewalk. Sometimes they didn't. But Zico danced either way, because for him, dancing was never really about the coins. It was about the only kind of freedom a boy with nothing could still call his own. On the afternoon that changed everything, Zico was drifting past the tall iron gates of the River Oaks mansion, the way he sometimes did when he wandered that side of town. He wasn't looking for trouble. He never was. He was just moving, the way boys with nowhere to be tend to move, slowly, eyes open, taking in the world. Then he saw her. Through a gap in the hedge that lined the gate, he could see a little girl sitting alone in a wheelchair in the middle of a large, beautiful garden. Her chin rested on her hand. Her eyes were fixed on nothing. Her whole small body carried the kind of stillness that didn't come from peace. It came from pain. Zico stood there for a long moment, just watching. He had never been inside a place like that. He had never owned anything close to what that garden alone was probably worth. But he recognized what he was looking at. He recognized it because he had felt it himself. On the nights when the hunger was too loud and the loneliness was too heavy and even dancing felt like too much effort. That little girl was not just sad. She was lost. And something in Zico's chest, something quiet and certain, told him what to do. Zico didn't think it through. Thinking it through might have stopped him. He simply slipped quietly through the gap in the hedge, his bare feet landing softly on the grass, and stepped into the garden. Lily didn't notice him at first. She was too far inside her own silence. But then movement caught the corner of her eye, and she turned. And there was this strange, thin, barefoot boy standing in the middle of her garden, arms stretched wide, eyes crossed, one leg lifted like a confused flamingo. She blinked. Zico launched into the most ridiculous dance she had ever seen in her life. There was no music. There was no audience. There was no reason for any of it except one. He wanted to make her smile. He spun like a broken top. He shuffled sideways like a crab in slow motion. He threw his arms out dramatically, lost his balance, and caught himself at the last possible second with an expression of complete theatrical shock. He moonwalked into a bush. He pointed at the sky as though something extraordinary was happening up there. And when Lily looked up and saw nothing, he collapsed onto the grass in fake despair. The first sound was small, almost nothing, just a quick breath that escaped before Lily could catch it. Then it grew. A giggle, then another, then something fuller and louder and completely uncontrolled. Real laughter, the kind that doesn't ask permission, the kind that rolls out of you before you even realize it's coming. Lily Holt laughed. Not a polite smile, not a quiet chuckle. A full, bright, unstoppable laugh that rose up from somewhere deep in her chest and rang out across that garden like a bell that had been silent for far too long. Zico heard it and felt something explode in his chest. He danced harder. He danced wilder. He added sound effects. He improvised a dramatic storyline involving an invisible enemy, a magic shoe, and a very uncooperative shopping cart. Lily clapped her hands. Her shoulders shook. Her eyes, those quiet, faraway eyes, were completely, brilliantly alive. Inside the mansion, on the second-floor balcony, Desmond Holt heard his daughter laugh and stopped breathing. He had been in his study, staring at a contract he had read 4 times without absorbing a single word when the sound reached him. At first he thought he had imagined it. It had been so long since he had heard it that for a moment his brain couldn't process what it was receiving. Then it came again, louder, freer, unmistakably Lily. Desmond moved through the mansion faster than he had moved in months. He reached the balcony and looked down into the garden, and what he saw stopped him completely. His daughter, cheeks flushed, back straight, arms moving, clapping with a force and energy he had not seen from her since before the accident. And beside her, spinning and stumbling and mugging shamelessly for her reaction, was a boy he had never seen before. Barefoot, torn clothes, thin frame, clearly not someone who belonged inside those gates. Desmond's first instinct was fury. His security team had failed. A stranger, a street child, had somehow bypassed his entire perimeter and was inside the compound with his daughter. His jaw tightened. His hands gripped the railing. He was already forming the words to call the guards. And then Lily laughed again. It hit Desmond somewhere behind his ribs, a sound so familiar and so missed that it physically staggered him. He stood there gripping the balcony railing, watching his daughter's face, and the anger drained out of him so fast he almost felt dizzy. For 7 months, he had flown her across the world. He had filled her room with the best specialists money could reach. He had sat beside her bed in 4 different countries, holding her hand, willing her back to herself. And none of it, not one single thing, had produced what this barefoot boy had produced in less than 10 minutes. Laughter. Real laughter. Life. Desmond Holt pressed his back against the wall of his balcony, out of sight, and did something he hadn't done since the night Claire died. He wept. Zico didn't plan to return. That wasn't how he thought. His life had never been built around plans because plans required a future you believed in. And for most of his short life, Zico had only ever thought as far ahead as the next meal, the next dry corner, the next morning. But that night, sleeping behind a kiosk near the bus terminal with his stomach empty and the Houston heat pressing down on him, Zico kept thinking about her face. The way the light had come back into her eyes. The way her laugh had started small and then grown into something neither of them could control. The way she had clapped with both hands and looked at him, not past him the way most people did, but directly at him, like he was the most important person in the world. Nobody had ever looked at Zico like that. He showed up the next afternoon. Same gap in the hedge, same bare feet on the grass. And there she was, already positioned near the gate, her eyes scanning the hedge with an expectation that told him she had been waiting. "You came back," Lily said. "I said I would," Zico replied, even though he hadn't said that at all. She giggled. He grinned. He had barely lifted his arms into his opening pose when a shadow fell across the lawn. Desmond Holt stepped out of the side door of the mansion and walked toward them with the slow, measured steps of a man who had made a decision and was standing behind it. Zico's body went rigid. He recognized adult authority the way all street children did. Instantly, physically, in the stomach. He calculated the distance to the hedge. He told himself to stay calm. He prepared to run. Lily's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Daddy, please, don't send him away. Please." Desmond stopped in front of Zico and looked at him, really looked at him. The torn shirt, the scarred knees, the bare feet on the manicured grass, the eyes that were watchful but not afraid, not arrogant either, just steady, the way eyes get when they've had to be steady for a long time because no one else was going to be steady for them. "What's your name?" Desmond asked. "Zico. Why did you come in here?" Zico held his ground. "I saw her through the gate. She looked like she was carrying something too heavy for somebody her size. I thought if I danced, maybe it would feel lighter. I didn't come to take anything, sir. I don't take things that don't belong to me." The garden was completely quiet. Desmond studied the boy for a long moment. Then, with the same voice he used to close billion-dollar deals, quiet, certain, and final, he said, "You can stay. Garden only. I'll be watching. You behave, you come back tomorrow." Zico exhaled so slowly it was almost invisible. He turned to Lily with a grin that stretched from one side of his thin face to the other. "Showtime?" he asked. She clapped both hands together. "Showtime." 1 day became 3. 3 became a week. The week stretched into 2, then 3, and by the time the River Oaks neighbors noticed a pattern, it had simply become the rhythm of the Holt household. Every afternoon at 4 o'clock, the side gate opened and Zico walked in. Every afternoon at 6, he left with a warm meal in his stomach and something in his chest that felt dangerously close to belonging. Desmond gave quiet instructions to his head of security. "Let him in at 4. He leaves at 6. He eats before he goes. Nobody touches him." The guards nodded and asked no further questions. Inside the garden, Zico expanded his performances the way a true artist expands when given a stage. He dramatized arguments between Houston bus drivers and their passengers with such physical commitment that Lily nearly fell out of her wheelchair laughing. He invented an ongoing saga about a fictional character named Big Gerald who was perpetually late for everything and always had the most elaborate excuse. He performed slow-motion replays of imaginary sporting events. He did impressions. He created sound effects. He turned the manicured lawn of one of Houston's most expensive properties into the most joyful little theater in the city. But underneath the laughter, something else was happening. Lily's hands grew stronger from clapping. She started lifting her arms to mirror Zico's movements, attempting to copy his rhythms from her chair. Her voice grew clearer and more confident. She began directing him. Do the big Gerald one. No, the one from Tuesday. No, make it bigger. She started spinning her wheelchair in tight circles when Zico spun on the grass. And every circle she completed felt, to everyone watching, like a victory that no medical chart could fully measure. Desmond watched from a distance. He noticed everything. How Zico never asked for anything before he performed. How he always checked Lily's expression before trying a new joke, reading her face the way a good performer reads a room. How he ate the meals placed before him carefully, with a gratitude that was quiet and complete, the gratitude of someone who understood exactly what it meant to be fed. In the evenings, Lily talked more than she had in months. Daddy, did you see the big Gerald one today? He made him miss his own wedding. Daddy, I think I felt something different in my left leg today, like a little buzz. Daddy, can he come on Saturdays too? Her physiotherapist called Desmond after a routine assessment. His voice was carefully professional, but the surprise underneath it was unmistakable. Mr. Holt, I don't know what has changed in her environment, but her engagement levels are significantly elevated. We're seeing neural responsiveness we weren't seeing 2 months ago. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. That night, Desmond stood alone in the garden long after Zico had gone, looking at the patch of grass where the boy had danced. The fountain ran quietly. The Houston sky pressed down warm and dark above him. He spoke to no one and everyone at once. Thank you, he said softly into the night air. The garden offered no reply. But somehow, the silence felt different than it used to. It was an ordinary Tuesday, the kind of afternoon that doesn't announce itself as significant. The sun was low and golden. The sprinklers had left the grass still slightly damp, and somewhere in the neighborhood a lawnmower was running. Zico was performing his signature slow-motion routine, every movement thick and deliberate, as though he were moving through water, and Lily was laughing so hard that her blanket had slipped completely off her lap. Then she stopped laughing, not because anything was wrong, but because something had shifted inside her, a quiet, physical certainty that arrived without warning and demanded to be answered. Wait, she said, catching her breath. I want to try something. Zico froze mid-movement, arms still raised. Try what? She didn't answer with words. She placed both palms flat on the armrests of her wheelchair. Her jaw set, her eyes focused on some invisible point directly in front of her. And then she began to push. Her shoulders rose. Her chest lifted. Her arms trembled with the effort. For a long, suspended moment, nothing happened, and then something did. Her hips shifted upward. Her weight redistributed. Her body rose, inch by inch, shaking with the effort of it, defying everything the last 7 months had said about what was possible. Zico's voice dropped to almost nothing. 1. Desmond, who had been sitting on the garden bench reviewing messages on his phone, looked up and went completely still. 2. He whispered, standing slowly without realizing he was doing it. Lily's breath came in short, fierce pulls. Every muscle she had was engaged. Her whole small body was one concentrated act of will. 3. She exhaled and sank back into the chair. The garden went silent. Not the old silence. Not the silence that had settled over the Holt mansion after Claire died and Lily came home changed. This was a different silence entirely. The kind that arrives after something sacred has just happened and the world is taking a moment to honor it. Zico shattered it first. He let out a shout that probably carried 3 blocks. He spun 4 times, stumbled, caught himself, and dropped to his knees beside her wheelchair. You did it. Lily, you did it. You were up. You were actually up. Desmond covered the distance between the bench and his daughter in 4 steps. He knelt beside her. His hands were shaking. He reached out and held her face gently, her warm, flushed, laughing face. And his throat was so tight, he could barely form words. "You are the bravest person I have ever known," he said. "I am so proud of you, I don't have the words for it." Lily reached out both arms. One hand found her father. One hand found Zico. She held them both. "When he dances," she said softly, "I feel like my body remembers what it's supposed to do." Nobody moved for a long time. They didn't call the press. They didn't post it anywhere. They simply stayed there in the late Houston sun, a billionaire on his knees, a homeless boy with tears on his face, and a little girl who had just stood up and let the moment be exactly what it was. A miracle that belonged only to them. On a quiet Saturday morning, Desmond asked Zico to sit with him. Not to perform, not to entertain Lily, just to sit and talk, the way two people sit and talk when one of them wants to finally understand the other. Zico sat carefully on the edge of the garden bench, his posture carrying the wariness of someone who had learned that unexpected invitations from powerful people rarely ended well for people like him. "Tell me about yourself," Desmond said. The question landed in the air between them and stayed there. Nobody had ever asked Zico that question. Not like this. Not with stillness behind it, and eyes that were prepared to actually listen to the answer. He spoke slowly at first, carefully, the way you speak when you're not sure the words will be received. He didn't know where he was born. His mother had died when he was very small. He didn't have a clear memory of her face, just a feeling, warm and faint, like something good that had passed through. His father had disappeared before Zico was old enough to understand what a father was supposed to be. A few women at the market near the bus terminal had fed him when he was small. When he got older and stopped being small enough to be pitted, they stopped too. He had been surviving on his own for as long as surviving felt like something he could remember. "Why do you dance?" Desmond asked. Zico was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "When you're hungry, really hungry, sitting still makes it worse. Your body starts to feel like it's caving in. But if you move, if you really move, something shifts. The heaviness lifts a little. And if someone laughs, if someone sees you and actually smiles because of something you did." He paused, searching for the right words. "It makes you feel like you exist. Like you're not just taking up space on a sidewalk that everyone wishes you'd clear." Desmond was quiet for a long time. He had been to Zurich, Tokyo, London, and Dubai. He had sat across tables from heads of state and industry titans. He had read philosophy and studied economics and built an empire from the ground up. And yet in that moment, on a garden bench in River Oaks, Houston, a 9-year-old boy with no shoes and no last name had just handed him a truth that all of it combined had never quite delivered. "Zico," Desmond said at last. His voice was different now, stripped of the boardroom, stripped of the distance. Just a man talking. "You are not invisible. Not in this house. Not anymore. From today, you are part of this family. You will have a bed. You will eat every day. You will go to school. And you will never again have to wonder whether there is a place in this world that belongs to you." Zico's face didn't change immediately. It took a moment, the way it takes a moment for sunlight to reach the bottom of deep water. Then his chin trembled. His eyes filled. And for the first time since anyone could remember, Zico, the boy who danced so he wouldn't feel invisible, allowed himself to be completely, fully seen. Lily had rolled her wheelchair quietly to the edge of the path. She reached over and grabbed Zico's hand without a word. He looked at her. She smiled. And in that smile was everything neither of them knew how to say out loud. It didn't stay quiet for long. Houston talked. Houston always talked. And when the story got out that Desmond Holt, one of the most powerful men in the city, had taken a homeless boy off the streets and brought him into his River Oaks mansion, the city had opinions. Loudly, his business partners called. Some were concerned. Some were direct. One of his oldest associates sat across from him at lunch and said, without softening it, "Desmond, this will cost you. A street child in your home, in your daughter's life. People will question your judgment. They will question your stability. Think about what you're doing to the Holt name." Desmond listened to the whole thing. Then he set down his fork and said, "My daughter stood up last week. For the first time since the accident, she stood. A boy that the city threw away made that happen. If protecting my name means turning my back on that boy, then my name isn't worth protecting." The associate had no answer for that. The newspapers ran with it. Some headlines were admiring. Others were skeptical. A few were openly unkind. Strangers weighed in on a family they knew nothing about with the confidence of people who had never had to make a decision that hard. But in the mansion, life continued. Lily called for Zico every morning. Their afternoons were loud and ridiculous and full of the kind of laughter that echoes in hallways and sneaks under closed doors. Dinner became the meal where Desmond smiled without trying to. Evenings ended with stories, Zico's real ones, slowly, carefully shared, and Lily's dreams, growing bigger by the week. Zico's presence in the house didn't just change Lily. It changed Desmond. Something about watching a boy who owned nothing choose joy every single day, without complaint, without bitterness, without waiting for conditions to improve before deciding to be alive. It rearranged something in Desmond that years of wealth and success had quietly calcified. He started leaving the office earlier. He started eating dinner at the table instead of at his desk. He started telling Lily stories about her mother, the real ones, the funny ones, the ones he had kept locked away because they hurt too much to open. The mansion stopped echoing. One evening, Lily looked at Zico across the dinner table, rice on his chin, mid-story, gesturing wildly, and said, completely matter-of-factly, as though she were reporting the weather, "You're my brother now." I decided. Zico stopped mid-gesture. "You decided?" "Yes," she said simply. "I decided." "Daddy, tell him." Desmond looked at Zico across the table. His expression was steady, warm, and completely certain. "She decided," he confirmed. Zico looked between the two of them. Then he looked down at his plate. His shoulders rose and fell once, a breath so deep it seemed to reach all the way to the floor. "Okay," he said quietly. "Okay." That night, long after dinner was cleared and Lily was asleep, Desmond found Zico sitting on the back steps of the house, looking out at the garden in the dark the way boys look at things when they're trying to decide whether to trust them. Desmond sat down beside him. "You keep sitting out here," Desmond said. Zico shrugged. "I'm not always sure I'm supposed to be inside." "You are," Desmond said. No hesitation. No qualifications. "This is your home. That is your room. That is your family. And that," he nodded toward the garden, "is the place where you changed everything. Don't ever sit outside of what belongs to you again." Zico nodded slowly. His throat moved. "Mr. Holt." "Desmond," he said. "Or whatever feels right to you. But not Mr. Holt. Not in this house." A long pause. "Thank you," Zico said, "for seeing me." Desmond turned to look at him. This small, extraordinary boy who had walked through a gap in a hedge with nothing but a dance and had somehow healed what 7 months and millions of dollars had failed to reach. "No," Desmond said quietly. "Thank you for showing up." The Houston night settled around them, warm and wide and full of cricket sound. The fountain ran in the garden. The lights of river oaks glowed soft and gold through the trees. And for the first time in a long, long time, the Holt mansion felt exactly like what it had always been meant to be. Not a monument to wealth. A home. Don't go anywhere. Part 2 is coming. And what happens next between Desmond, Zico, and Lily will completely take your breath away. If this story moved you, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss a Loveth Reveals story. The truth always comes out, and we tell it right here.